Welcome back, everyone, to A Course in Miracles in Practice. Today, our exploration takes us into Lesson 249, Forgiveness Ends All Suffering and Loss. This is quite a lesson. It really paints this vivid picture of the ultimate goal, the end point, you could say, of the Course. Shows us what true healing looks like.
And just before we dive in, a quick reminder to check out our Spotify poll. And of course, you can always find us on social media at the World Harmony Project. Or if you want to send us an email, it's acim@theworldharmonyproject.org. We do love hearing your thoughts.
Okay, let's start by just immersing ourselves in the lesson itself. I'll read the first part. I'll try to read it with a meditative, respectful pace. Lesson 249. Forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Forgiveness paints a picture of a world where suffering is over, loss becomes impossible, and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone and madness has an end. What suffering is now conceivable. What loss can be sustained. The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. It is now so like to heaven that it quickly is transformed into the light that it reflects. And so the journey which the Son of God began has ended in the life from which he came.
And the prayer that goes with it, it speaks right to our intention here. Father, we would return our minds to you. We've betrayed them, held them in a vice of bitterness, and frightened them with thoughts of violence and death. Now would we rest again in you as you created us.
Wow, that's quite a vision, isn't it? And it connects immediately, for me at least, back to Lesson 247. Remember, 247 was focused on forgiveness as the tool for seeing clearly. Without forgiveness, I will still be blind. 247. Remember, 247 was focused on forgiveness as the tool for seeing clearly. Without forgiveness, I will still be blind. Actually complete.
That's a really important distinction.
But this one, Lesson 249, it shifts things.
How it removes that
feels like it's describing the end result, right? What happens when forgiveness is actually complete?
That's a really important distinction, yeah. Lesson 247 showed us how forgiveness helps us see how it removes that blindness we put on ourselves. But this lesson, 249, it's describing the world after our sight is restored. Those phrases, suffering is over, loss becomes impossible, attack is gone. They aren't steps we take. They describe a world that's completely transformed because forgiveness is finished. It's the destination.
It gives us not the journey itself. And think about where it sits in the Course. We're getting near the end of the What is the World section. The Course has been carefully taking apart how we usually see the world, all the suffering, the conflict, the pain we perceive. And now it gives us this ultimate answer, this vision of what the world really is when we see it through forgiveness. It's the payoff, maybe, in the Course, the culmination. This idea of individual awakening.
And that brings up something students often ask. It's something I've thought about too. When it says, the journey which the Son of God began has ended, though, it reminds us the whole idea of everyone else. If my journey ends, but it looks like others are still suffering, how does that work with the Course teaching that we're all one? It can sound a bit like a solo escape.
Yes. That's one of those deeper puzzles you bump into in the Course, isn't it? This idea of individual awakening sometimes feels like it clashes with the core teaching of interconnectedness. Are we all on separate schedules?
The Course gives such a beautiful way to look at this, though. It reminds us the whole idea of separation from God from each other. It didn't actually happen. It's more like a really convincing dream we're all having. An imagination that we could possibly split off from the mind that created us.
So when someone has that full awakening, that complete forgiveness, it's not that they're leaving people behind. It's more like recognizing that those separate people were always just aspects of the one mind that was dreaming of division. There wasn't a real split, so there's no real leaving.
Think about your own dreams at night. Do all the different characters in your dream need to wake up one by one?
No, they just disappear when I wake up.
Right. You wake up, the dream dissolves, and so do all the seemingly separate figures within it. The awakening itself ends the dream of separation.
Okay, that analogy really helps make it clear. But let's try to bring this down to earth a bit. What does this look like in daily life? The Course says we stay here in this world. The idea of financial loss. So how does someone live with loss becomes impossible and anger makes no sense? Especially in jobs where you see a lot of suffering, like a nurse or maybe a police officer.
Look, their actions on the outside might look quite similar. A nurse would still give care, comfort people, but their internal experience would be completely different. They wouldn't see the hospital as primarily a place of suffering that needs fixing. They'd see it as a place to extend real healing, helping people remember the wholeness that's already there beneath the appearance of illness.
You sound nicer than the other people.
It's a shift from fixing bodies to recognizing spirit.
That's a profound shift in perspective. Okay, let's push it. How about a bill collector? That job seems built on conflict and the idea of financial loss.
Ooh, that's a good one. A real test case. Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you so much.
Imagine me making the call.
Hopefully I can say something next time you guys call.
Hello, is this Jane Doe? I'm calling about your account with ABC Company. Anyone else calls? I see there's an outstanding balance that's past due.
That's a beautiful
Look, you people call me every damn day knowing I have no money.
Nice, do they?
If you really cared, you'd lose my bill. I'm sick of
And that's the
you.
point, I
I
think.
can hear the frustration in your
truly
voice,
living from this place
and
of
I
forgiveness.
understand why you're
find it
angry
harder
when you're
and
getting
harder
called every
to be
day.
impossible
That sounds
to stay
really
in a job
stressful.
where the main function
I
is
know
causing
you didn't
distress for
create
profit.
this situation to hurt
Their
anyone,
inner guidance
and
would
I'm
just
not here to
naturally pull
make
them
your
towards
day
work
harder.
that aligns with love
Maybe we
and
can
real help.
figure out something
Not
that actually
systems
works
based
for
on
your
scarcity or
situation.
making people feel bad.
What would be helpful
The
here?
drive to heal would just take
Well,
over.
you sound nicer than the other
brings us back
people,
to
but
that
all I
amazing
have
phrase,
is $10, and I'm lucky I have that.
Thank you for being honest about where you're
This
at.
idea of returning to
That
where we
takes
started,
courage.
even though we never really left.
Here's
It
what I
feels
can
like
do.
such a paradox, doesn't
I'm
it?
putting a note
The
that you're
challenge is our
experiencing
sense of time
hardship,
and space.
and we
The perfect
spoke
way to
today.
put it. Holy paradox.
That
The
should
journey
stop
wasn't
the
about
daily
moving through
calls
space
for
or
now.
time. The journey
Keep
was the
that
dream of
$10. You
separation.
clearly
The whole
need
idea
it
that
more
we could
than this
leave
company
home.
does right now.
Since
Thank
that
you
was
so
never
much for
actually
being
possible,
understanding.
the
Hopefully
journey
I can
only
pay
ever
something
happened
next
in the
time you
dream.
guys call.
So the ending
Focus
isn't
on taking
arriving
care
back
of
somewhere
yourself and your
physically.
family. That's
It's
what
waking up
matters.
from the dream that we
If
were
anyone
ever
else
distant. The
calls
journey
and gives
just
you trouble,
collapses when you
reference
see
this
it wasn't real.
conversation.
It's just like
That's a
Dorothy in The Wizard of
beautiful
Oz,
interaction.
all that effort to get home.
But let's face
And then
it,
she wakes
most
up in her
collection
own
companies
bed.
probably
She
don't want
realizes
their
she was
agents
never
being
truly
that
lost.
nice, do they?
The
It kind
journey
of goes
was just
against
this
the business
elaborate
model.
dream.
You're
Waking up
absolutely
is
right,
the
and that's the
return.
point, I think. The journey ends someone truly living from this place of forgiveness. Understanding that helps. They'd find it harder and harder, statements maybe impossible, to stay in a job where the main function is causing distress for profit. Still feel loss and anger in our lives. Their inner guidance would just naturally
The dream
pull them
analogy
towards
helps here
work
too, I think.
that aligns with
Imagine
love
you dream
and
your
real
favorite
help,
car gets
not
stolen. And the dream,
systems
the
based
anger,
on
the loss, they
scarcity
feel
or making
completely
people
real,
feel
right?
bad.
Devastating even.
The drive to
But the
heal
second
would
you
just
wake
take
up,
over.
Does the anger
And
slowly
that brings us
fade?
back to that amazing phrase,
Instantly.
the journey which the Son of God began
It
has
becomes
ended in the
meaningless because
light for
basis
which he
for it
came.
wasn't real. The course is saying
This
the
idea of returning to
impossibility
where
of
we
loss
started, even
isn't
though we
about
never
getting
really
better
left,
at coping.
it feels like
It's
such a
about
paradox,
recognizing that
doesn't
the
it?
things we think we
It
can
challenges
lose,
our sense of
possessions,
time and
relationships,
space.
even the
It's a
body,
perfect way
are
to
part
put
of
it.
the
Holy
dream,
paradox.
not our
The
eternal
journey
reality.
wasn't about moving
Anger
through
makes no
space or
sense because
time.
there's nothing real
The
to
journey
be
was the
about.
dream of separation. The whole idea that we could leave home.
That's okay, isn't it? It's a process.
Since that was never actually
patient with
possible,
ourselves while
the
holding on to
journey
that
only
ultimate
ever
truth.
happened in the
That balance
dream.
is key.
So the
Which brings us
ending
to the
isn't
prayer.
arriving back
It uses
somewhere
such strong
physically.
language.
It's
We have
waking
betrayed
up from the
them,
dream
held
that
them in
we
a
were
vice of
ever
bitterness, and
distant. The
frightened them
journey
with
just
thoughts of violence and
collapses
death.
when you see it
What does
wasn't
that
real.
betrayal
It's
of our
just
own
like
lives
Dorothy
look
in The
like
Wizard
for
of
you
Oz.
personally?
All that effort to get home. And then she wakes up in her own bed. She realizes she was never truly
The other
lost.
person is
The
acting
journey was
completely
just
innocent,
this
even though
elaborate
their actions
dream.
caused some hurt.
Waking up is
Logically,
the
I know
return.
I'm exactly. The journey ends by realizing there was no real departure.
Keeps going back to
And understanding that helps tackle those really absolute statements in the lesson. Loss becomes
And that is the
impossible,
vice of
and
bitterness
anger
right there.
makes no
You're
sense.
watching yourself use your own
Those are
awareness,
tough
your own
when we
mind
still feel
to
loss
keep
and
the
anger
suffering
in our
going,
lives.
instead of just letting it
What's
go.
the course getting at?
Seeing the peace
The dream analogy helps here
You're
too,
using
I
your
think.
mind against
Imagine
yourself.
you dream
That's
your
the
favorite
betrayal.
car
And the
gets
vice tightens
stolen.
even more
In the
because
dream,
I
the
start judging
anger, the
myself for
loss,
staying
they
stuck on
feel
it. It's not just the
completely
original
real,
issue,
right?
it's the self-attack for
Devastating
having the
even.
issue.
Oh, absolutely.
But the second you wake up,
prosecutor, defendant,
does the
judge,
anger slowly
constantly
fade?
rehashing
No,
something
it's
that was
gone
over quickly.
instantly
Yeah.
because there was no car.
Right.
That's such a clear picture.
It becomes meaningless because the basis for it wasn't real. The course is saying the impossibility of loss isn't about getting better at coping. It's about recognizing that the things we think we can lose, possessions, relationships, even the body, are part of the dream, not our eternal reality. Anger makes no sense because there's nothing real to be angry about.
That definitely takes some time to sink in, to really feel true. And that's okay, isn't it? It's a process.
Absolutely. Being patient with ourselves while holding on to that ultimate truth, that balance is key. Which brings us to the prayer. It uses such strong language. We have betrayed them, held them in a vice of bitterness, and frightened them with thoughts of violence and death. What does that betrayal of our own minds look like for you personally?
Oh, that whole prayer hits hard. I can give you a very current example, actually. I'm in the middle of a disagreement, and the other person is acting completely innocent, even though their actions cause some hurt. Logically, I know I'm the one keeping the feeling of injustice alive in my mind, but my mind just keeps going back to it, replaying it, poking at it, like a tongue worrying a sore tooth. I see myself doing it, but it just keeps happening.
And that is the vice of bitterness right there. You're watching yourself use your own awareness, your own mind, to keep the suffering going, instead of just letting it go, seeing the peace underneath. You're using your mind against yourself. That's the betrayal.
And then the vice tightens even more because I start judging myself for still being stuck on it. So it's not just the original issue, it's the self-attack for having the issue. My mind becomes this courtroom prosecutor, defendant, judge, constantly rehashing something that was over quickly in reality. It's self-inflicted.
That's such a clear picture of how we trap ourselves. It also reminds me of another worry students sometimes have, this pressure related to the workbook lessons. The idea that we have to get there, reach enlightenment, by lesson 365, like it's a deadline Jesus set.
The ego loves that one. It takes this tool for healing, the workbook, and turns it into another stick to beat ourselves with. And medicine is poison, right? That's the real shift. The actual awakening isn't hitting some finish line by day 365. It's the willingness to do the lessons each day, to be open to a different way of seeing. That willingness is the awakening process. The journey is the practice.
So bringing it all together, what do you think someone who truly embodies this lesson would actually look like? How would they handle real tragedy or injustice, or just the small daily annoyances? Would they seem emotionless?
No, I don't think emotionless at all. I imagine them being deeply transformed inside, but still capable of feeling. They might cry with someone who's grieving, but out of deep compassion, not personal devastation, because they don't identify with the loss as real. Faced with injustice, they'd work to change things, definitely, but without the rage. They'd see confused people acting out fear, maybe, not evil enemies needing punishment, and the small stuff. Traffic jams, rude comments, maybe those would seem almost amusing, like watching actors get really into their roles, knowing it's just a play.
Those small frustrations, they really are perfect practice moments for us, aren't they?
They really are. They give us these little opportunities to remember our true self, to see we can respond differently.
I actually had one yesterday that fits right in. Yesterday I was getting onto the highway and there's an SUV in the lane I had to merge into, but he was behind me, so no problem. I sped up to get over with plenty of room, but the SUV started speeding up as well. The SUV then moved to the left lane and sped up to cut in front of me. Complete road rage.
Oh, wow. So, what happened? How did you react in that moment?
In the past, I would have been angry and might have tried to prevent his dangerous antics, but I had no anger at all. I got into the passing lane and kept moving, not speeding, though he tailgated me. I eventually exited as planned, and the SUV exited too, only to get back onto the highway.
Wow. That's really something. Just stayed neutral through all that aggression.
It seemed all of the course reaching flowed through me. I felt absolutely neutral. In fact, I didn't remember the incident until just now. The angry driver tried to get me back from a loss he made up in his own mind. I felt no need to race, punish, or flee from him. Perhaps that's what the world, free of loss and anger, will look like all of the time.
And the fact you forgot about it until just now, that says so much. It shows how natural that response becomes when it comes from your true nature. It wasn't about managing anger. The anger just didn't show up.
Exactly. It wasn't like I was using a technique. It was just a response without a story attached, no grievance, no victimhood. If we could just stay in that clarity all the time.
Step 5.
That's the world this lesson points to, isn't it? A place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. The world seen without the filter of fear and attack.
That road rage story is a perfect illustration of anger makes no sense.
Yeah.
Just didn't arise because there was nothing real at stake, no real loss to get angry about. Okay, so to help bring this amazing lesson into daily life, let's talk about a simple practice.
Right. Step 1, pause and notice what's happening. Just when you feel that little ping of frustration or anger or that sense of unfairness, maybe the mind going back to an old hurt or something happening right now, just notice it.
Step 2, gently repeat the idea, just silently to yourself, or out loud if you can. Remind yourself, forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Just bring the words to mind.
Step 3, acknowledge how you feel without fighting it or judging it. Just notice the feeling, the anger, the bitterness, the sense of loss. See it there. It's okay.
Step 4, ask the Holy Spirit for help. Just a simple mental request. Help me see this differently. Help me remember there's no real loss here, that this anger doesn't really mean anything.
Step 5, rest a moment. Just allow a quiet moment after asking. Be open. Let there be space for a shift, remembering that deep peace that's always there beneath all the surface noise. This exploration today, it really underscores how forgiveness isn't some heavy task. It's a perceptual shift. It literally changes how we experience the world, showing us that suffering and loss aren't mandatory. They're interpretations we can choose to release.
It's really a path back to the joy and abundance that is our natural inheritance. So think about that today. What stands out most for you in this vision of a world without suffering or loss? Does it feel possible, even in small moments? Just let that question sit with you.
Thanks for joining us for this exploration. We truly value hearing from you.
You can find us again on social media at the World Harmony Project, and the email is acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
We'll see you tomorrow.